welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. So today we're going to be talking about the updates to the final rule for ClinicalTrials.Gov. So the requirements for registration and results reporting, including the expanded registry and the results data bank. The objectives today, our real focus, are teasing out some of those key changes, looking at the roles and expectations of the responsible party, who that is, what they are supposed to be doing, how that can change. We will look at clinical trial registration requirements, talking too about the applicable clinical trial and what needs to be registered and when. We'll talk about the 2 trial documents that are now required to be submitted with the clinical trials results information, and we will look at the trial results reporting requirements for those products that are unapproved or unlicensed or uncleared, as well as those approved products. We'll also talk about the result submission and any delays in those results. So as we go through this, these slides are pretty content heavy in terms of giving information for reference later on. We will talk through those highlights, some of those changes, keeping in mind as well with the final rule that there have been some updates in timing and in requirements and some further clarification around the timelines for reporting, registering the trial and reporting the trial results. So the final rule talks about the requirements for submitting registration and summary results information, including information about adverse events. We are looking at the trial registry as a public service. So when FDAAA first came about in terms of requiring these studies to be registered on ClinicalTrials.Gov, the purpose was and continues to be a place for individuals who need information about potential clinical trials in their geographic area or within their current disease state to get information about where these clinical trials are being conducted. So it's really a service to help patients find trials for which they might be eligible. And using ClinicalTrials.Gov and streamlining it and making sure that we're giving people information that they need to make informed decisions is really critical for public health. So we are looking at the registration of these studies. As we mentioned, we're going to talk about the responsible party, which can be the sponsor or a designated principal investigator, who is going to be responsible for registering these studies and making sure this information is updated so it can serve its true purpose. So again, ClinicalTrials.Gov is about human subject protections. So we are giving people information about where they can go find studies, but we're also giving them information about other studies that are being conducted, what we know about the outcomes of these studies, so the results data bank. It is meant to also enhance the integrity of research, being transparent, providing information, building upon evidence-based medicine, and also allows us to look at the allocation of resources. So where are we going to place our studies? Where are other studies being conducted? How many other studies are being conducted with this? So when we think about the clinical trials registry, it really is another tool that we have, certainly that subjects or potential subjects have, investigators, sponsors, researchers, others, to help us meet that goal of human subject research, which is getting credible data from protected subjects. And by doing so, we are supporting the public's health. Because really what we're ultimately working towards is getting those products out there that are safe and effective that can help others. We are at the end game, really, of what we're trying to do is work in that public health arena, providing people tools for better health. So the regulatory elements that we see in 42 CFR Part 11 are broken down as such. So again, we're not going to read through each of these, but be mindful that this is written in terms of the general provisions, including what's the purpose, who's responsible for this, what are the requirements, what is the format that needs to be followed, and the registration itself. To whom does this apply? What types of trials need to be registered? When does that information have to be submitted? What types of information have to be brought in? So remember, this is driven and held by NIH, but several years ago, NIH handed over authority for review to the FDA. So this is now where the FDA is going in and assessing ClinicalTrials.Gov and this information to make sure that it is compliant, because they are kind of on the ground there looking at sponsors and CROs and investigators.